Hearing there, Donald Trump speaking at the press conference, thanking his North Korean counterpart, saying he would have looked bad if he hadn't turned up after he sent out the tweet yesterday. Now, there has been some criticism of Donald Trump for giving the North Korean leader the limelight, perhaps with no concrete deal yet. But he has achieved something that no other US president has, the first president to cross over into North Korean soil. Talk us through how significant this is.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously very significant. The fact that the North Korean leader and the US president, it seems like both of them kind of share a mutual feeling that they have a friendship and that they respect each other, which is quite unprecedented. What was interesting to me was just before we connected, Kim Jong-un said that this was indeed a spontaneous encounter. None of this was planned ahead of time. They didn't talk about this over the letters that they've been sharing back and forth. And so it seems like Kim Jong-un himself, he heard about this possible meeting through the tweet that President Trump sent out yesterday morning. So it seems like everyone it has been sort of caught up in this surprise. But yes, it seems like the two leaders have enjoyed a very brief but positive encounter, and we'll have to see where we go from here.
Well, exactly as you say, a brief but positive encounter, and we'll have to see where things go. The last time the two leaders met in Hanoi, talks collapsed. Do you get a sense that there is real hope there that these talks will be rebooted?
Yeah, I think what I found interesting is during the press conference that President Trump had earlier today, before meeting Kim Jong-un, he said that most of the media has presented the Hanoi summit as sort of a fallout, but he thinks that it was very important, if not equally or more important than the Singapore summit, and that it was necessary in terms of the negotiations that have been ongoing, perhaps highlighting there's been a lot of work being done behind the scenes that we are not aware of. I think the letters are probably part of that, forging the sort of personal relationship that kind of comes hand in hand with the work in diplomacy. And yeah, we are here today at the DMZ. It seems like the encounter has ended, but we'll see if there's any more updates from perhaps another press conference.
Now, one thing that's not being mentioned much while this meeting is going on is North Korea's atrocious human rights record. And Trump has been criticised for giving the North Korean leader this platform while these human rights abuses continue.
That's right. North Korea is responsible for a lot of human rights violations. None of that has been mentioned in these talks recently. It's something that we cannot overlook, obviously, but it is sort of in a precarious position, if you will, because if we think about what is next after this encounter, is that, well, firstly, on the North Korean side, they're obviously looking for alleviation of sanctions, but they're also, especially Kim Jong-un, is hoping that he can keep his regime together and that the US will guarantee that. Of course, what the South Koreans, the US, and the international community wants is that the North Koreans embark on a complete dismantlement of their nuclear proliferation, especially starting with a nuclear complex in Yeonbyeon. But in order to facilitate that, in order to maintain and to help the Kim Jong-un regime to stay in place, perhaps it's a very sensitive issue for South Korea or the US to bring up in terms of the human rights violations. And we'll have to see if there's a time and place where we can start talking about those as well. But this moment, I think it's too precarious, perhaps, is what the US president is thinking.
Okay, Rafina, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for your analysis.